Today we're taking a look at these college football matches, which are happening on Friday, December 30th, 2022, and giving you our parlay picks, match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus check out our Patreon in the link down below if you want access for our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. One more thing before we start, make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Ohio Bobcats vs Wyoming Cowboys. The Ohio Bobcats head into this game 9-4 this year. In their last contest, the Bobcats faced the Toledo Rockets and ended up losing by a score of 17-7. C.J. Harris finished 17-31 with 163 yards passing. He had a quarterback rating of 92.6 and walked away from the contest with one pick. Sia Bangura led the offense in rushing for the Bobcats with 20 attempts for 56 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. The Ohio Bobcats ended up running the ball 29 times and amassed 99 yards, which is an average of 3.4 yards per attempt. When all was said and done, they ran 60 plays which gave them 262 yards. Ohio relinquished 16 completions on 25 tries for 154 yards and a completion percentage of 64.0%. When it came to the battle of the line of scrimmage, the Bobcats conceded 236 yards on 46 tries, which is an average of 5.1 yards per run allowed. When talking about scoring points, the Ohio Bobcats have an average of 31.9 ppg. As a team they have an average of 138.6 yards via the ground game, ranking them 85th in college football. The Bobcats currently have 5,512 total yards for the season. When it comes to getting the ball in the end zone, Ohio has totaled 26 touchdowns via the pass and 22 touchdowns via the ground. Ohio has accrued 270 first downs and they have committed 65 penalties for 575 yards. They have turned the ball over 12 times. The Bobcats are ranked 86th in D1 regarding team defense, conceding 28.4 points per game. They are allowing an average of 4.4 yards per run and 143.7 yards on the ground per game on the campaign. In total, they have allowed 1,868 rushing yards through 13 games. In terms of passing yardage, the Bobcats have conceded 3,818 yards, which ranks them 131st in the nation. They have allowed 293.7 yards per outing through the air, in addition to allowing a completion percentage of 65.4%. For the season, they are allowing 437.4 yards game, which puts them 113th in D1. They have yielded 29 touchdowns through the air and 17 touchdowns pounding the rock. Give me the Bobcats on the spread here. I don't care that Curtis Rourke is out with a knee injury, and I think odds makers have overcompensated for his absence. Sure, it hurts not having their quarterback, but Wyoming can't complete a forward pass at all. I have confidence in backup C.J. Harris, and you can't blame him too much for struggling in the conference championship game against Toledo after he was suddenly thrown into the fire. He put up big numbers the week before against Bowling Green, and with all this time to prepare for this start, I expect him to look a lot sharper here. Wyoming is going to be without Titus Wen here, and he was pretty much the only thing they had going for them on offense. They are coming off a 30-0 drubbing at the hands of Fresno State, and that's what their games usually look like when they aren't able to run the ball. Our team pick is Ohio minus 1.5 points. The Cowboys head into this matchup 7-5 for this season. The last time they took the gridiron, the Cowboys walked away with a loss by a score of 30-0 against the Fresno State Bulldogs. Titus Wen carried the ball 24 times for 75 yards, ending the game with 3.1 yards per carry for Wyoming. Andrew Peasley finished the game with 104 yards on 12 29s through the air, while his QB rating was 57.7. He threw 2 picks, and his YA was 3.6. Wyoming surrendered 34 rushing attempts for 114 yards, 3.4 yards per rush. The Cowboys' pass defense allowed a completion rate of 65.6%, surrendering 183 yards on 21 out of 32 through the air. The Cowboys finished the game with a total of 191 yards while running 58 plays, 3.3 yards per play. Wyoming ran the football for 3.0 yards per attempt, finishing with 87 yards on 29 carries. Wyoming was up and down in the early going, but they started to hit their stride in October when they rattled off 4 straight wins. Unfortunately for them, they slipped up in the last couple of weeks, losing back-to-back games including a 30-0 drubbing at the hands of Fresno State. Wyoming runs a very old-school offense, and they like to run the ball a lot more than they pass. On the season they have 446 rush attempts and only 274 pass attempts. When they have had to throw the ball it hasn't gone too well, as they are averaging just 5.6 yards per pass attempt with more interceptions than touchdowns. If Wyoming is going to be successful in this game, they're going to need to get their rushing attack going, but that might be difficult to do without junior running back Titus Wen. He has declared for the NFL draft and won't play in this game, which is a huge blow considering he had about 3 times as many rushing yards as the team's next leading rusher. Even in a game where he went off for 212 yards on 19 carries against Boise State they still lost, so I'm not too optimistic about their offensive prospects without him. The team will have to lean on sophomore DeWay and McNeely more in his absence, but he has only received more than 6 carries in a game once since September 16th. The last time their ground game was shut down was in the game against Fresno State, and they got shut out. Quarterback Andrew Peasley was forced to attempt 29 passes in that one, and he averaged just 3.6 yards per attempt with 2 interceptions. When it comes to their ability to score points, the Cowboys are ranked 112th in the country, averaging 20.8 points per contest. For the year to this point, the Cowboys have thrown for 1,534 passing yards, in addition to holding an average of 127.8 passing yards per game, which has them ranked 125th in the country. The Wyoming Cowboys maintain an average of 315.5 yards game, which is good for 118th in the nation. The Wyoming offense has compiled 460 yards of penalties on 53 violations, which is good for 122nd in Division I in terms of making mistakes. Wyoming has yielded a total of 1,794 yards on the ground, 149.5 yards per outing, and 16 touchdowns rushing on the year. They have surrendered 17 touchdowns via the pass, in addition to 219.8 yards outing, which puts them in 62nd in Division I. The Cowboys' defense has taken part in 828 plays, which is 67th in D1. The Cowboys are conceding 23.4 points per game, which has them 42nd in D1. Overall, they have allowed 281 points in total. This is a low total, but I'm still going under. For starters, both teams are going to be without their best player on offense. Ohio is going to be without their star quarterback who was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year, and Wyoming is going to be without the engine of their offense, who rushed for over 1,000 yards after he declared for the NFL draft. The Cowboys have put up just 17 total points over their last 2 games, and they haven't scored more than 17 in a game since October. Ohio has a pretty stout defense that has now given up 24 points or fewer in 7 straight games, so this one has defensive struggle written all over it. Our second pick is under 41.5 points.